I plan to say today's cricket news. Here we can look at the top 10 all-time greatest ODI cricket matches of all time. On 5th January 1971, Australia and England competed in the first ever one-day international match, ODI, cricket match that was held at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and in space of over 48 years, there have been 4,192 ODI matches, 12 World Cups and 6 different world champions. The ODI format is arguably the most popular format of the game, and over the years, this format has presented some nail-biting finishes, remarkable individual performances and some truly astonishing victories against the odds. To pick the top 10 greatest ODI matches of all time is a difficult task, and there will be debates over the inclusion or exclusion of a particular match. However, based on the scenario of a game and its importance, I have compiled a top 10 list. Number 1. Sri Lanka vs Australia. First ODI at Melbourne, 3rd November 2010. Prior to the 2010-2011 Ashes series, Australia, who were the 3-time defending world champions, hosted Sri Lanka in a 3-match ODI series. In the first match at the MCG, the hosts won the toss and chose to bat first, but they could only set the Sri Lankans a target of 240. The visitors got off to a poor start as well and lost both the openers with only 19 runs on the board. Kumar Sangakkara and Mahela Jayawardene added a useful 54 runs for the third wicket before the latter was dismissed. By the time Sri Lanka huffled and puffled to 107, they had lost 8 wickets with Lasith Malinga joining Angelo Mathews in the middle. It looked like the Aussies were cruising towards victory, but what followed was one of the most biggest rescue acts in cricket history. Mathews and Malinga added a record 132 runs for the 9th wicket, with the tailenders scoring 56 runs of only 48 deliveries. Malinga was run out when Sri Lankans need one more run to win, but the last batsman Muttiah Muralidharan hit a boundary to seal the win. Mathews, who was only 23 years old at that time, scored a brilliant 77 of only 84 balls under extreme pressure and was adjudged the man of the match of that series. At number 2, India vs Sri Lanka, first ODI at Rajkot, 15 December 2009. This is yet another ODI in which Sri Lanka were the visiting team and had to chase. They won the toss and chose to field first, and were blown away by the India batsmen. The home side scored a record 414 runs with Virender Sehwag, the man, scoring 146 runs of only 102 balls. It was Men in Blue's highest ODI total at that time and was surely enough to seal a comfortable victory, or was it? The Lankans came out all guns blazing. A century from Tilakaratne Dilshan and a blistering half century from Kumar Sangakkara and Uppal Taranga helped them to reach 316 for the loss of only 2 wickets. At the end of the 37th over, Sri Lanka needed only 89 runs from 78 balls. They had 8 wickets to spare, and in the middle there were Dilshan and the hard-hitting Sanath Jayasuriya. However, in the next 4 overs, they scored only 21 runs and lost the wickets of Dilshan, Jayasuriya and Mahela Jayawardene. Angelo Mathews batted well in the next 7 overs, which left them with only 15 runs to get off 12 balls. But Thilan Samuvare were run out and only 4 runs were scored. In the final over, bowled by Ashish Nehra, the Lankans could only score 7 runs, and Mathews was also dismissed in the 4th ball while trying to go for the biggie. And thus Sri Lanka were bowled out for 411 runs, missing the target by just 4 runs. And number 3, New Zealand vs Australia pool match, ICC Cricket World Cup at Auckland, 28 February 2015. Unlike most of the matches on this list, this match did not go down to the wire, but it had some fantastic individual performances and several twists and turns along the way. The 2 co-hosts and eventually finalists of the 2015 ICC Cricket World Cup played a pool match at the Auckland, and the Aussies chose to bat first after winning the toss. However, they were bowled out for a paltry 151 with Trent Boult in fire, picking up 5 for 27 in his allotted 10 overs. The Kiwis hit the ground running with them came out bat and raced to 78 for 1 in only 7.3 overs, with Brendan McCallum scoring 50 of just 24 balls. Pat Cummins dismissed the New Zealand captain in the 8th over, but they still needed only 73 runs from 42 overs, with Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor in the middle. Walk in the park? Right. Well, think again. Mitchell Starc bowled the 9th over, and in the first 2 balls of the over, he uprooted the stumps of the Taylor and the Grand Alloy to give Aussies a glimmer of hope. However, Williamson and Corey Anderson added a 52 run for the 5th wicket to swing the momentum back in their favour. With 30 more overs to go, New Zealand needed only 15 runs, but in the next 2 overs, Cummins and Starc dismissed Luke Ronchi and Daniel Vettori respectively, to put a shadow of doubt in the minds of the New Zealand fans in that match. In the 23rd over, with only 6 runs to left, Starc bowled Adam Milne and Tim Southee. Trent Boult, the last batsman, had to face the rampant Starc, and he survived the last 2 balls of the over. Williamson was on strike in the next over from Cummins, hit a 6 of the very first ball to win the game without giving Starc an opportunity to bowl his final over. At number 4, India vs England final NatWest Series at Lords, 13th July 2002. The 2002 NatWest Series was a tri-series involving the hosts England, India and Sri Lanka. After playing 6 games each in the league stage, India and England were adjusted as playing in the final at the Lords. In the final, England set India a good total of 326 runs thanks to centuries from Marcus Truscott and Nasser Hussain. India started their chase well and reached 106 in only 14.2 overs, with captain Sourav Ganguly scoring a blistering half-century. However, they were soon reduced to 5 for 146, a collapse. At the crease were the young Yuvraj and Mohammad Kaif, and the duo added 121 runs for the 6th wicket before Yuvraj was dismissed. India still needed 59 runs of 50 balls, which was reduced to 12 runs of 15 balls after a 47 runs partnership for the 7th wicket between Kaif and Harbhajan Singh. Kaif scored 9 runs in the 49th over, which left India only 2 runs short of the target. But Zaheer Khan was on strike for the final over. Khan scored 2 runs in the 3rd ball of the over to give India a famous victory, and it also sparked an iconic celebration from the Indian captain as well. At number 5, New Zealand vs Australia, 3rd ODI at Hamilton, 20th February 2007. The Aussies had been involved in some fantastic ODI matches, which is why they feature more number of times than any other team in this top 10 list. The match in the question is the 3rd and the final ODI at the Chappell Hadley Trophy after the Kiwis had already won the series. Australia were without many of the key players for the tournament, but they were determined to win the final match to save some face. After winning the toss, they chose to bat and scored 346 runs, with Matthew Hayden scoring an unbeaten 181 of just 166 balls. New Zealand's chase got off to a terrible start as they were reduced 4 for 41 after 9.1 overs. A quick half-century from Peter Fulton got them to 116 for 5, leaving Craig McCallan and Brendan McCallum in the middle. McMillan scored then the fastest century by a Kiwi player by reaching a triple figure in only 67 balls. He went on to score 117 runs, which is the highest individual score, and the innings involved 13 fours and 5 sixes. However, when he was dismissed, the home side still needed 66 runs of the 52 balls with 4 wickets left. Australia tightened the screw by dismissing 2 tail-enders cheaply, but a timely cameo from Mark Gillips, who scored 28 runs from 15 balls, meant that in the final over, New Zealand needed 7 runs. McCallum hit a 6 of the first ball to lead the score before level the score before winning the game with a boundary with 3 balls and 1 wicket to spare. At number 6, Australia vs West Indies, 5th match B&H World Series at Sydney, 1st January 1996. Michael Bevan is considered as one of the most best, if not the best finisher in ODI cricket. And arguably his greatest ever performances was against West Indies in the fifth match at the Benson and the Hedges World Series. After winning the toss, West Indies chose to bat and scored only 173 runs from 43 overs in a rain-kettled match. While most of the batsmen struggled to score, Carl Hooper scored an unbeaten 93 of only 96 balls for the visitors. Australia's chase went horribly wrong as well, and they were down to 6 for 38 at one stage. Bevan, with some support from Ian Haley and Paul Reiffel, got the chase back on track. In the final over, with 2 wickets remaining, Australia needed 7 runs and Shane Warne was on strike. A dot ball, a wide, a run out, 2 singles and another dot ball reduced the equation to 4 runs needed on the final ball with Bevan on strike. In the final ball, he hit Roger Harper for a 4 down the ground to take his personal score to 78 of only 88 deliveries and seal a memorable win for the Aussies. And number 7, Pakistan versus India. Final. Australia Asia Cup at Sharjah, 18th April 1996. The Australia Asia Cup was an ODI tournament held in Sharjah featuring the major cricketing nations of Asia and Australia. The inaugural edition was in 1986 and India and Pakistan faced off in the final. Batting first, India set a target of 246 thanks to the brilliant half-centuries from Chris Srikanth and Sunil Gavaskar. While chasing, Pakistan were reduced to 461, but a century from Javad Minhad and contributions from Salim Malik and Abdul Qadir took them close to the target. However, they lost wickets at regular intervals and were down to 241 for 9 with Minhad still in the middle. In the final ball of the game, Pakistan needed 4 runs to win and Minhad hit a low full toss from Chetan Sharma for a 6 over mid-wicket to give his team their most memorable win over their arch rivals. Minhad's final score was 116 of 114 balls and hit 3 fours and 3 sixes each in his match-winning knock. At number 8, Australia vs South Africa. Semi-final. ICC Cricket World Cup at Edgbaston, 17th June 1999. It was the second semi-final of the 1999 Cricket World Cup and South Africa won the toss and opted to field first. Australia could only manage 213 before they were bowled out, but South Africa still had a tough job on a bowler-friendly track. South Africa were reduced for 4 for 61 at one point but recovered to 6 for 175 after Jack Callis and Johnny Rhodes scored 53 and 43 respectively. However, they still needed 39 runs from 31 balls. In the final over, South Africa needed 9 runs and Lance Klusener, who was individually player of the series, was on strike, having already scored 23 runs of only 12 balls. Klusener scored boundaries of the first 2 balls from Damien Fleming to level the score, and in the third ball, Australia nearly ran out and Donald at the no-striker's end and he was backing up too far. In the fourth ball, Klusener's mishit shot went to mid-wicket and although there were 2 balls remaining, he called for a risky run. Donald at the other end was watching the ball and did not see his partner or hear the call for the run. By that time, Donald started running. Klusener was at the bowler's end and Australia pulled off an easy run out at the striker's end. Although the scores were tied, Australia progressed to the final because they had beaten South Africa in the Super 6 stage. In that match, Australia chased down a 272 with 2 balls to spare, courtesy of a century from Steve Waugh. However, Herschel Gibbs was guilty of dropping Waugh when he was on 53. Gibbs had the ball in his hands, but in his haste to celebrate, he dropped the ball. Talk about the fine margins. At number 9, South Africa vs Australia 5th ODI at Johannesburg, 12th March 2006. This was the 5th match of a 5-match ODI series and it was also the series decider. Australia won the toss and batted first. They became the first ever team to score more than 400 runs in an ODI match and Captain Ricky Ponting led the front by scoring 164 runs of just 105 deliveries. Australia ended their innings with 434 runs on the board and broke the previous best score of a team which had lasted for a decade. However, little did they know that their record would be only broken in only a matter of hours. South Africa started the chase poorly and they lost opener Poeta de Pinier with only 3 runs on the board. However, Graeme Smith and Herschelle Gibbs put on a 187 runs partnership for the second wicket in only 127 balls, and after Graeme Smith's dismissal, Gibbs went berserk. For the third wicket, Gibbs, A.B. de Villiers scored 95 runs, out of which Gibbs scored 77 of only 33 balls. When Gibbs departed after scoring 175 runs of only 111 balls, South Africa needed 136 more runs from 109 balls. However, Jack Kallis and Justin Kemp were dismissed after plodding innings and the hosts needed 80 from 47. When it looked like the match was slipping from South Africa's hands, John van der Walt scored 35 of only 18 balls to give Mark Boucher some support in the final over. South Africa needed 7 runs. Despite losing Andrew Hale in the third ball, Boucher hit a boundary in the fifth ball to complete his half century as well as seal a record-breaking chase for the side. And number 10 and the last one is England vs New Zealand final ICC Cricket World Cup at Lord's, 14th July 2019. Was there any doubt about the number 1 spot? It was only in the drama of the match but also the gravity of the situation that makes this match the greatest ODI of all time. New Zealand and England had the opportunity to win their maiden World Cup and the Kiwis won the toss and elected to bat first. They scored 241 runs in their 50 overs, but the defending a low total against the might of the English batting was going to be a tough task. England lost Jason Roy, Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root and captain Ian Morgan with only 86 runs on the board and nearly 27 overs left to play. And New Zealand had the upper hand, but Ben Stokes and Josh Butler put on a 110 runs partnership for the 5th wicket to swing the game in England's favour. Stokes was still going strong, but wickets fell around him. In the penultimate over of the match, Stokes tried to hit a 6 mid-wicket only to find Trent Boult. However, before he would relay the ball to Martin Guptill, he stepped on the boundary line to concede a 6. However, in the final over, England still needed 15 runs to victory. Stokes did not take a run of the first 2 balls to keep the strike and hit a 6 of the third ball. In the 4th ball, he hit a full toss to deep mid-wicket and called for 2. But Guptill's throw deflected off a diving Stokes' bat and went to the boundary. England needed 3 of the last 2 balls and tried to get 2 runs off each ball, only for the non-striker to be run out on both occasions, which resulted in a tied match. The game had to be decided in a super over, but both teams scored 15 runs each, and as a result, England were crowned world champions because they scored more boundaries in the 50 overs. The defeat was hard for the Kiwis to realize as to take, and they must be ruling their luck. Interestingly, the man of the match, Ben Stokes, was born in New Zealand and moved to England at a young age because his father, a former Black Caps rookie player, was appointed head coach of Pontkinnon Town Rugby League club. After the game, 5-time ICC Umpire of the Year award winner Simon Toffel revealed that the umpires made a mistake in the awarding 6 runs to England for the overthrow of Stokes' bat. Despite this, the 2019 ICC Cricket World Cup Finals will go down in the history as one of the most greatest ODI match of all time. Thank you for watching my channel. Kindly like, subscribe and comment. And for more such notifications of the world cricket, kindly subscribe channel. And also kindly like, share and comment the video. Thank you.